You're listening to the John and Heidi Show. Now, featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris.
Okay, dudes, let's walk this sucker.
On Sunny 93.3.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time now for the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris. How you doing, Dan?
Dan!
Just so good.
It's Christmas week. Holy cow.
It is. It's just,
tomorrow's Christmas
man. Well,
is,
you know, I haven't been all that stressed, but then as you know, I've got kind of a late Christmas. I'm doing
Yes,
a,
you do.
I'm doing
You got
a-
some time, man.
doing a delayed Christmas
You could buy
down
all
south.
your stuff like on Christmas specials, like after
Yeah,
Christmas.
you can after Christmas sales.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. So there you go. Huge day historically speaking. I don't know if you're huge art fans or not, but I'm sure you know this artist, Vincent van Gogh.
Oh, yeah,
Heard of him, yeah.
heard of
Pretty
him.
famous. Yep, it was this day in 1888 that old Vinny cut off his left ear with a razor,
So bizarre.
sent it to a prostitute,
You know.
which seems kind of a random act of love. Who knows? But when asked about it later, he said, huh?
Oh,
Can you imagine how that would have hurt?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
that would be bad. That wouldn't be a good look either. Without ears, I mean,
Well, and then he did his self-portrait afterwards.
Did he really?
Painted
Without
his
an ear?
self-portrait. As a matter of fact, yeah.
so there's no ear in that
Yeah,
self-portrait.
I believe so.
Wow.
And back in 1888, it wasn't like, he could just go to a urgent care clinic or something, but
You
Right?
can't do that here either because they're
no,
closed.
not
but-
now, but yeah. Thankfully. Also, born on this day in 1805, and I know Heidi is a big fan because we have talked about this, Joseph Smith Jr.,
Oh yeah.
the founder of Mormonism and the Latter-day Saints movement.
yeah.
And Heidi explained to me one day.
Of a novice on.
We were
this
we were
religion.
sitting here one morning time, and I said, I'm not really clear on a couple of variants. Really, one was Episcopalian, but nobody knows what that is because you can't even spell it. And I said, and this Mormon thing, I have an inkling, but I'm not quite sure. And Heidi explained Mormonism to me.
I did.
Yeah, and it was
Dan wants to do Religions of the World explained by Heidi on the radio now.
No, it was really good. It was really sharp. And you said there was a Joe Smith.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And he went into the woods, and then he came out and told people that he talked to God, and then everybody followed him.
Nice.
That's the
Yep.
religion.
Then a bunch of stuff
led to
happened,
another.
and then Utah.
Yeah. And one thing led to another.
And Mitt Romney. And there you go.
Something.
History of Religion with Heidi.
I could explain the Episcopal religion as well.
Here's the thing I can tell
actually.
you.
So,
I know a few Mormons. We used to live near the Mormon church in Brandon, and every person that I know who is Mormon is like the most polite person I've ever met. Super nice people.
I didn't say they weren't.
I never said
me
you
neither.
said that they weren't.
I just think it's interesting to understand the different denominations.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's this, in talking about Christianity, we are Christians
Yes.
yes.
ourselves, but then there are the various denominations,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there are so many of them.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And so trying to figure out the little idiosyncrasies or what this one does as opposed to this one, it's fascinating to me.
It is indeed.
The Episcopal religion.
We're gonna move on.
I knew an Episcopalian.
Are we gonna go through and try to upset everyone
I
today?
asked him one day, and his name is Ben. So there you go. And I said, Ben, dude, this Episcopalian thing, man, help me out here. What is that exactly? He goes, oh, well, it's pretty simple, really. You have the 10 Commandments. I go,
Yeah.
Yes. He goes, well, Episcopalians, if you can nail 6 or 7 of them, you're good.
It's Catholic light.
That's right.
That's what he
The
said.
Episcopal
Ben
religion
was
is
right.
Catholic light. It's Catholic without the guilt.
It's not. You
It
guys.
really is. It is, because we went to an Episcopal church
We
for quite
did.
some time, and it is. That's exactly what it
You
is.
see this look on my face over here where I'm saying we should have
John
stopped
is
talking
very
5 minutes ago.
uncomfortable.
No, I love this stuff.
Merry Christmas, everyone. If we haven't offended you yet, well, just give us a few minutes.
Hanukkah, whatever.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris on Sunny.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, but it can also be expensive. One survey found 44% of shoppers racked up more than $1,000 in holiday debt last year, and 5% accumulated more than $5,000 in debt. Are you still paying for last year's Christmas gifts? Maybe you need better credit cards. We'd love to help at bettercreditcards.com. Find a card that's a better fit for your needs. Some like cards with points or miles. Others just want a lower rate. Find what you're looking for at bettercreditcards.com.
Faith, freedom, and and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time right now for Ranger Dan's Critter Corner.
Well, I'm rough, tough, and ready. I'm a heck of a man. Eat my beans and weenies from a frying pan.
He's Ranger Dan.
Easy. I'm Ranger Dan. Well, I loves to wrestle bears and lasso ducks, run over possums in my government truck.
He's Ranger Dan.
Easy. I'm Ranger Dan. Well, I loves all the campers and the animals, too. If you're picking on critters, I'm coming after you.
He's Ranger Dan.
Yes, sir. I'm Ranger Dan.
Good morning, Ranger Dan.
Good morning, Ranger Dan.
Well, lovely morning to you, Heidi, John, and little radio rangers at home. Well, here we are just blasting right into the old holidays, Christmas right around the corner, and I know a lot of you. Well, first of all, thank you for shopping Ranger Dan, the fine line of merchandise.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's been a stellar year for me, and again, can't hardly wait for tax time, but that's chapter for another day. To say that, we're going to jump into the mailbag. Shirley, I thought it was an interesting letter from a fan. So, Dear Ranger Dan, been listening to your show from the get-go. Big
Nice.
fan.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you.
My friends, fans, my family or fans absolutely love Ranger Dan. I love the critter knowledge that you bestow upon your listeners. It's always fascinating stuff. But here's the thing. I've noticed, certainly over the past little while, that you, I don't know, seem to be spending more time merchandising
You've noticed.
than you do critter knowledge. And not that I mind, really. I mean, but what kind of tipped me off is yesterday you were getting going about something or another, and boom, before you know it, all of a sudden you're trying to sell me a Ranger Dan, Ranger Baby Jesus nativity scene.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I'm sure it's lovely, but goodness gracious, where do you find the time to do all this stuff? Mm-hmm. Still a big fan. Love the show. Signed, Merv Lindquist. Merv, let me tell you a little something. I actually perused this letter last night. I got old Ranger Dan to thinking, so I just jumped right into it, and I'm proud to announce the release, the edition, the publication of a brand new book, Ranger Dan. I did it, so can you. It's an easy-to-follow, step-by-step guide on how you can make piles of money with very little effort, if any at all. The book includes chapters on product development or just placing your label on other companies' products to save time and money. Chapter 7, you'll learn all about the FDA, the FBI, the DEA, and other letters to avoid. The book also features my deep expert thoughts and offshore banking, shell corporations, the power of child labor, plus the pros and cons of hired goons. That's Ranger Dan's I Did It, So Can You. It's available on Amazon Prime, Barnes & Noble, Northview Bait and Tackle on North Kiwanis, and of course, Log Cabin Bar on West Burnside. That's all the time we have for today, children. Remember, you know the drill, little radio rangers. Stay in school, go to church, say your prayers, eat your vegetables, don't be playing soccer. Don't let me catch you wearing Crocs. Is Ranger Dan out? Yes, sir.
Ranger Dan's Critter Corner, exclusively on Sunny 93.3.
This time of year, we have many events that involve alcohol. If you struggle to drink without drinking too much, there is help. There are programs designed to help take alcohol out of your life for good at timeforrehab.com. Don't let a drinking problem spill over into other areas of your life. Get help to quit drinking and start living the life you truly deserve at timeforrehab.com. Your insurance may cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time now for Water Cooler Talk, brought to you by Aqua One. Dan Farris back in the studio now with some really important, is it really important news?
I think it affects all of us, I guess, depending on your, involvement.
Okay.
Been a lot of talk, make no mistake, if you've been following the bouncing ball the past couple of years, crime rate in Sioux Falls has indeed risen pretty much across the board. And if, again, watch the news, all of a sudden there's gunfire here and there, there's robberies
Stabbings.
Here and there, whatever.
People stealing stuff.
Just saw an announcement from Sioux Falls Councilor Teresa Staley was late last week getting together with other city staff to talk about enhancing neighborhood security and awareness. Remember, what was it called? Neighborhood Watch.
Neighborhood Watch.
And people get together and collectively, you go walk. It was kind of a big deal. And it was nationwide.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the powers that be reached out to me for my expert opinion on what should be and whatnot, and I hope they implement it. I think it's pretty simple.
What was that?
And we talk, well, some neighborhoods, and this is also nationwide, and it's kind of a cool deal. You have your basic, like, city-run, like, libraries, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But neighborhoods, people in neighborhoods were setting up, like, little boxes, little stands and
I've
things.
seen those, yeah.
And you take a book or put a book
Like
in,
little
whatever.
neighborhood library boxes.
And so I said, hey, you know what? Most everything has been tried over the years. Some success, some not so much. People lose interest, whatever. And so I thought we should implement, and I just call it neighborhood gun share.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
there you go.
And explain it to it. Basically, it would just be a box of guns. Take a gun, put a gun back.
Right.
Make sure. And
You have to check these out or anything? Or
as far as I can tell, no, just when you return it, make sure it's still loaded with one in the chamber.
Yeah.
Because people normally don't have time to be messing around with, hey, this thing, whatever. So they're going to start the pilot program over in the Whittier neighborhood.
just don't see this
And
happen.
there'll be a box of guns, corner of East 6th and Fairfax.
Do you need to live in the neighborhood to use them?
See how this works. And again, there are things that need to be worked out.
Oh, okay.
I haven't done all the details.
Yeah, the Sioux Falls neighborhood gun share. So
Nice. Well, I'll have to check into that.
I like that.
what? They asked for ideas. I
I
said,
don't know if I've
here.
ever seen John speechless.
Should we put a box in our yard? Just kidding.
Right next to the American flag,
Yeah,
baby.
at the base of the flag. There's a gun shop.
Like, what are we doing really? Hey, let's do this.
Well, Dan, thank you for that report, I think.
What? Am I the only one not seeing a problem here?
No, I think we're all seeing the problem here. All right, this is Dan Farris with our water cooler talk. Thanks for listening to Sunny 93.3.
We all know someone that's a little weird. They're great, but they have a weird sense of humor. If you need to get them a gift for the holidays, be sure to check out weirdgiftoftheday.com. Each morning, we post a different weird item that will make you smile. There's no fee to join and no obligation to buy anything. Just follow our page on Facebook and get a smile each morning. weirdgiftoftheday.com. Weird gift ideas for your weird friends. That's weirdgiftoftheday.com.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time right now for this thing we do every Monday at this time. It's called the Sunny Radio Maverick Recruiting Top Gun of the Week.
Here goes my theme song. I love it.
Highway to the danger zone.
This is kind of like an employee of the week.
It is.
Where each week we hand the microphone over to Heidi, and then she gets to select somebody who has gone above and beyond, like a Top Gun would, for the Top Gun of the Week from MaverickRecruiting.com.
And actually, this week, Maverick Recruiting themselves suggested this winner. So,
well, you got to explain how that
because
happened.
I went to Southeastern Hair Design.
Yeah.
Andrea, the lovely Andrea, helped
did a
me
good
with my
job.
hair. She really did. I
You
love
look
it.
fabulous. You still look good.
Thank you.
We were all frightened because was it your first time
It was
there?
my first time there.
She was nervous. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to go to a new place. And I'm going to try new things."
No, I loved it. And I posted pictures online, and he said,
Yeah, John
John
from
Shores from Maverick Recruiting said, she should be your top gun. So
Yeah.
she clearly did a good job.
She did a very good job.
Yeah.
Everybody on Facebook, by the way, everybody loved it.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
thinking it would have been funny if somebody would have just said, I've seen better.
No, but I didn't get that from anybody.
No, it's
Everybody
really-
loved it.
it looks
So
great.
she was so pleasant and so wonderful, and she just did a phenomenal job.
So if somebody would like to go in and see her, they can go in and talk.
Oh,
Do
and they should.
They have to ask for Andrea, you said?
Andrea.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Southeastern Hair Design. And
Yeah.
if you're lucky, you could win a gift certificate from them.
Yes, you could, because we
Santa
give one
Claus
away
over
once,
here is
right?
giving one of those away later
Oh
this
yeah,
week.
yeah. I'm sitting on one. It'll be the last one of the Christmas season. You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you haven't signed up yet, do that now. Win awesome prizes. A button at the top of the page at sunnyradio.com. And then a huge thank you to our friends at Maverick Recruiting. And John, thank you for helping us pick the winner this week. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
John and the team at Maverick Recruiting, here's what they do. They help you find a better job. So if you've got a job and you're happy with your job, but you're going, you know what, I wonder what else is out there. It would literally cost you nothing to find out. reach out to John at Maverick Recruiting. And if he can't help you find a better job, just keep doing what you're doing. But if he can, isn't that awesome? He can help you.
Yeah.
Now, if you happen to be a company that's looking for people, you should reach out to them as well, because they've got a lot of great people, and they are in the business of connecting great people and great companies. You can learn all about them at maverickrecruiting.com.
Student loan debt is now the second highest consumer debt category, behind only mortgage debt. It's higher than both credit cards and auto loans. Believe it or not, the average graduate walks away with anywhere from $25,000 to almost $40,000 in student loans. 2% even manage to owe over $100,000 by the time they graduate. If you have student loans, let us consolidate them into one loan and one payment at singlestudentloan.com. If you only have one student loan, we may offer a better rate to help you get that paid off sooner. Singlestudentloan.com. That's singlestudentloan.com.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time right now for entertainment news of the day with Mr. Dan Farris.
Because celebrities are fabulous. I'd gladly pay for the pedestals I put them on. The biggest entertainment, if you're a sports fan, of course, Monday Night Football. It is one of the greatest matchups in NFL history. Minnesota Vikings entertaining the Green Bay Packers. This could decide the NFC Championship. Who knows? I'm taking the Vikings by 427 points.
Really?
Wow.
It's like the Packers aren't even showing up.
Until the last 22 seconds when we lose by a field goal. All right, what else is going on? Let's see. I found this kind of interesting. I found the list of what some very fancy people consider the 10 worst movies of 2019.
Really?
The worst. Some you'll be familiar with, some perhaps you've even seen, some I've never heard of in my life, but here we go. From 10 to number 1, or the 10th worst to the absolute worst, according to fancy people who know this stuff.
Fancy people.
At number 10, and this thing bombed hard, the latest reboot of Charlie's Angels.
Oh, I didn't even know that happened. Did we
Number
even
10,
talk about
it
that?
bombed hard. At number 9, Serenity. Never heard of it. You two?
No.
Me either? Okay, forget about it. This kind of made me sad because I'm such a huge fan. I call him Sly because I can. Number 8, Rambo Last Blood.
I saw it. It was actually a pretty good movie.
It's the 5th shot at the Rambo franchise, and
Yeah.
apparently, according to these
I think people are
fancy
just burnt
people, it's like, hey, Sly's in his 70s now, kind of long in the tooth to be doing this, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Still
I always loved Rambo.
pretty good darn shape, if you ask me.
And number 7, Last Christmas. No idea.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
Alrighty. This was an animated deal for kids, and I remember seeing the trailers for this going, this is just kind of, whatever. Ugly Dolls.
I don't remember
At
that
number
either.
6. I wouldn't know about it except I recall seeing the trailers.
On the Hallmark Channel.
It's a bomb. At number 5,
Hallmark Channel.
Lucy in the Sky.
Is this the
Based on a true story.
John Lennon thing?
Nope.
What is this?
It's called Lucy in the Sky, based on the true story female astronaut Lisa Nowak.
I don't know.
Remember, she kind of flipped out, ended up she was in a love triangle, drove halfway across the country.
Wearing a diaper and everything?
We're stalking her competitor lady. The whole thing was weird.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember them making
I
a
remember
movie
the
of
story very well, but it total bomb, totally terrible movie. At number 4, The Goldfinch. No idea. Apparently it's about a bird.
No idea.
Okay. At number 3, and this disappointed me because I was a huge fan of number 1 and number 2, Hellboy 3 tanked it.
Oh, that's too bad.
Tanked it. Apparently it was just awful. Didn't see it. I'm sure I will when it comes on my TV set because I get like a network or something.
Oh, there you go. It'll happen.
Dark Phoenix at number 2.
Don't remember that.
That was the latest.
We're so out
That
of
was the
touch.
latest shot with the X-Men.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Apparently it was terrible. And at number 1, the worst movie of the year, the recent film adaptation of the Broadway musical that ran from about 1873 to about a week ago, Cats.
I've heard.
I didn't know they did a.
Oh, yeah. Taylor Swift was in it and some
okay.
other people. And I was.
Some other famous names. It's supposed to be just terrible.
I was going to say, I've heard nothing good about it. Nothing. So that's too bad.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go. We didn't see anything on the list other than Rambo. My son and I went to Rambo, and I thought that was actually pretty good.
Last Blood?
Yeah, whatever that was on that list.
Well, again, John, it's not. These are fancy people. Who know
I
these
understand
things. They're fancy people, John.
Well, we'll have to make our own list. We'll make a list of movies Dan says he's going to see someday, but he never will.
That is so true. Yeah, put it on my list.
The good news is when we go see a movie, I explain the entire thing to Dan. It actually takes me longer to explain it than it would for him to just watch the movie.
Oh, yeah, John even knows who like the grip kid was and all that.
The best boy was Michael. And
realized this movie was catered by.
Well, Dan, thanks for the entertainment news, sir.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate you listening as well at home. Thanks for listening. If you ever miss anything on this program and you want to catch up, you can also listen to the podcast version. Now, if you're actually listening to the podcast version, thank you. It's all available at the bottom of the page at sunnyradio.com.